This is our third panel, and this exactly is the topic of it. First, these are our panelists from Politechnika Gdańska, so that's the Gdańsk University of Technology, Professor Krzysztof Wilde. Great to have you. Okay, and this is my applause for you. And we do this again. Okay, thank you for being here, Professor. From Uniwersytet Jagielloński w Krakowie, that's just to brag about my Polish pronunciation, but I'm going to come back to English. Jagiellonian University in Kraków, Professor Dr habilitowany Stanisław Kistryn. I hope you're here. Okay. Hello, Professor. I want to be fair and do the shake thing. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Okay. We have some good spirit in here, so this is going to be an exciting debate. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the elbow thing with Professor Tomasz Bączek as well. Will I? Okay, so Professor Tomasz Bączek represents the Medical University of Gdańsk, and this is how he does the elbow thing. Okay, thank you for being here. And so you've just met the three panelists. Thank you, professors, for joining us. And I'm so excited to actually tell you that on this huge screen, we'll be able to see our moderator. And this is going to be a warm welcome to Professor Ulrike Beißigel. Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen heute?
Hallo, mir geht es gut.
Are you there? Okay, great.
Yes,
so that was a little bit of my Deutsch. And
that's good.
Thank you. And now I guess you will just be able to host the panel in Polish, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't, but I do it in English.
Okay, great. So best of luck, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much, and a very warm welcome from my side. And I have to say that I'm extremely sorry that I can't be in Warsaw with you, but I think it works very well, and I have a compliment for the IT who are doing that all. And let me first of all thank you actually that you all presented your progress reviews, and that is in the framework of the Excellence Initiative, and it was very good to read them, all of them. And I can only congratulate you that you all had so many activities already, and that you prepared them in a way that we could understand where you are standing. And let me say one more thing is that I'm aware what challenge it was in the times of the corona pandemic. So even more congratulations to you. But I also would like to congratulate the ministry and all the people in the ministry which are setting up this meeting, because I think this kind of progress meeting is really very, very interesting. It is very useful, and I hope that you as participating universities also see it in that way, because it's not done that way in the German Excellence Initiative, but it would have been good for the Germans as well. So congratulations to the ministry and to all of those who are involved in the conference. Lawrence and Siebold already said a lot of things which we as a team had discussed and how we see the initiative, so I don't think I have to repeat that all. But let me emphasize one point, a point what is really important, and most of you have raised it anyway, but it's all about people. And it's not only the people, but it's the spirit of the university, and that's where the university board or the presidents and the vice presidents come together with the people. They have to create something which is an academic spirit which carries the university in the strategic process. So that's, I think, is very important. Lawrence, I was listening to you when you had your session. I got everything actually so far. That is very, very interesting. And I heard that you talked about the Göttingen campus. And indeed, as a president of the University of Göttingen, I experienced what we call the Göttingen spirit in the Göttingen campus. That is a close and formal cooperation of the university with 5 Max Planck Institutes, 1 Leibniz Institute, 1 Helmholtz Institute, and the Göttingen Academy of Sciences, including all faculties and all disciplines. And I can say that such a campus structure formalized with contracts, and going down to the students, actually, also for education, is really important. And it's also important to be attractive for young people. And we had heard that actually in the session before, as it was just mentioned by our host, that there were a couple of points reaching in our session, which were very interesting for me. But as you might know, that Göttingen also is very active in national and international collaborations and kind of groups of universities. So I think I have quite a bit of experience, and I think that will be very interesting for me to hear what you are up to. And from the reports which I read from all of your universities, I have the impression that you have very different approaches for collaborations and federations. And I think it will be the best to just start now with your presentations, and any other things from my side I will put in the discussion. I would, however, to ask you to concentrate on the things which you already started, on activities you started, and not so much on what is written down in the plans you have. And so I think as well, coming back to Siebold, he said you should also talk about bad news. And I think that would be good if you not only mention the success, but also where you might have problems or where collaborations did not come up the way you wanted to. And with that, I give the word now to you, but I would like to start with Gdańsk University of Technology, then go to the medical, and then come back to Krakow, because the two Gdańsk universities hopefully have similar ideas. So why don't you start, Christoph Wilde?
Thank you very much. I will just give a very brief information. The Pomerania region, this is about 2.2 million people. We have about slightly below 20 scientific institutions, higher education institutions, and 3 of them largest academic universities. And one of them is Medical University of Gdańsk, University of Gdańsk, and my University of Technology. And I remember the interview with Professor Holm Nielsen. He was asking me about many things, and one of those was, what do you think about federation? And I thought that this is the best question I could get, because I was kind of keen of making a federation. I had a dream 5 years ago that we can make a federation, putting university together and making this kind of American-style university with right variety of discipline, offering a variety of teaching possibilities and also research. And actually, I had the possibility to put this idea through the kind of political acceptance of a political path. But then again, 5 years ago, there was no enough there was no enough power to put this idea into the life. And this EDUP initiative, EDUP program, got a really good chance to do it. So, especially with Medical University of Gdańsk, we are neighbors. Practically, we built one joint campus, and we had lots of joint seminars. I mean, after the EDUP program started, we started with the seminars organized by central authorities, by rectors, but then several of smaller seminars was organized. Medical University of Gdańsk organized one seminar in the sea resort. So our discussion of full day and up early in the morning, also making some social connections among the scientists. Going down to the results, finally about 30 research teams presented their idea about joint research. There was a few programs established together, and one of them, combating virus related to the pandemic problems, reached about 16 applications. 6 of them were selected, and at least one for 100% is going to be financed from both sides. So they are the effects of our activity that we started after the EDUP program was established. And one more thing, just a week ago, Ministry of Education, Wojciech Murdzyk, he accepted our application for making the union of the universities. And I have here a very tiny personal success. This is the name of this union and the name of the potential future joint federation. And the idea is of having a Daniel Fahrenheit University. Now it's Daniel Fahrenheit University Union. And the major task for this union, first task that we have to accomplish, despite things that makes our life easier and make our activity more economical and rational, the main part is to address the problem of federation. So find the advantages, disadvantages, learn about the possibilities, and do the kind of a roadmap for acting or going into direction of federation and maybe in the far future consolidation, merging of our universities. I want to point out that making the university that would be visible, comparable, for example, to Jagiellonian University and also to the universities abroad, needs to have disciplines from broad-wide available activities. And this is the medical sciences, this is the sciences related to the technological problems, and this is necessary to have also University of Gdańsk, to have humanity, law that was so often here today cited. So our idea is to start the joint direction, is to think about how to synchronize our activities, and the main part is now to address the problem, how to do it, how to do the fusion, making as little as possible mistakes. Maybe at this point I will end my speech and will concentrate only on domestic collaboration, but in the next part I may also talk about the collaboration with international institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is very, actually a wonderful federation, and also the name is impressive. And yes, in the discussion, you should probably mention also international collaborations. But since you already mentioned the medical university, so I think it's good if Thomas now is going on and presenting his view of the federation and maybe other points.
Professor Beisigel, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to have an opportunity to present to you some of our reflections from some months which happened. So collaboration, cooperation, networking are in fact keywords which were the fundament of our application, and hence I'm very glad that currently we have the point to which three rectors of our universities, so rector of University of Gdańsk, rector of Technical University of Gdańsk, and our rector of Medical University of Gdańsk got with the concept of Union of Universities of Gdańsk. From our perspective, it's a very worth initiative, and of course it can be pretty important platform to analyze the possibilities for further stronger cooperation between us, which could go for federation or other form of joint cooperation. So this is one of actions which was included in all our three applications during the submissions of the program from three universities, and so I'm very happy that it happened now, and I'm crossing the fingers for the final confirmation from ministries for our union. You're right, Professor Beisigel, the name of our union of universities also impressive. I like it. Fahrenheit Union is the name which which I remember also already some years. So it's not from just now. It's the process. It's the process of years. So it's going on. If I can add some other examples of collaborations in our institution. So I will start from, like Maciej said, top-down actions, not from, because I have also several examples going from bottom to top. So top-down actions, another kind, I am really delighted with the renewal of an agreement between our university and University of Gdańsk on degree course of biotechnology. Renewal of this agreement will allow, according to us, better, faster, better improved development of this course. Moreover, it's connected with EDUP, and also it goes with the PhD school, which is joint between University of Gdańsk and Medical University of Gdańsk in the area of biotechnology. Coming back to Technical University of Gdańsk, we observe also systematic improvements and development of our joint course on mechanical and medical engineering. It's already more than 10 years. 10 years anniversary was in 2017, and as I see, it's also a pretty nice example of our cooperation, not only on education level, but also on the level of making research and innovation, especially. I can add also that considering cooperation within our environment, domestic environment, I would mention partnership within EIT Health. EIT Health is the platform which we have an opportunity to develop, and this year could be the crucial year to get the next level of our partnership, thanks to the cooperation with Medical University of Łódź, together with their industrial partners, and also thanks to involvement of our industrial partner, we all can go better extended regional partnership considering Middle Europe. And those innovative considerations are especially close to my interest, and the last example what I would like to say about such domestic cooperation between our three universities, Medical University of Gdańsk, University of Gdańsk, and Technical University of Gdańsk, is the grant which is called microgrants for entrepreneurships between three of our companies. Three of our companies got some nice funds from regional programs, and it will be also in line with the program of Excellence Initiative. Thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you very much. That shows that you are experienced already in the topic of collaboration in Gdańsk, and I'm sure we will hear more about that. But I happen to know that also the Jagiellonian University in Krakow has experience in cooperation. I know about the international ones, but I'm sure there are other ones, and I think the word is now with Stanislav.
Thank you very much. First, let me share a word digression that it is first time in my life that I have moderator simultaneously in front and behind me. That's really modern life, I would say. Now, coming to interinstitutional cooperation, I think that this wording is just a logo. Cooperation is always between people. institutions can just facilitate it and help it very much, but then the real work is done by people. So first example of good cooperation should be within each individual university. And as Ulrike asked, I am not always very happy about the cooperation within the university. It generally works fine, but we have also examples, and I heard also examples from other universities, that, well, people cannot very nicely cooperate with one another within single faculties even. And we should not pretend it is not the case. But now, I would say that we had it at the university, that's obvious, and there are, well, examples which were even given by Minister Govin by different occasions. But now introducing within this excellence initiative a new layer of cooperation, I think it comes to better agreement. The people start, even those who once parted because of some differences in ideas, now they understand they have common interest and they start working on them. So it's one thing which is encouraging. I will perhaps talk about the possible federation plans at a later stage. However, I would like to well, congratulate my colleague from Gdańsk when they speak about so smooth cooperation within different areas. It's not that we do not have it. We with University of Science and Technology, we have several common projects. With also Institutes of Polish Academy of Sciences, we have common projects, and that was the idea well, of considering possible federation in Krakow as well. Now, what I was struck when I was thinking about that is that whereas when it considers research, its cooperation is always smooth, we can construct consortia, there are many of them. When even sharing infrastructures is not a problem. But when it comes to education, it is somehow, I would say, strongly neglected. We have very few interinstitutional teaching programs. We do not share, usually, we do not share teachers and lecturers. Why won't we do? Why we do not do it? Do you? It would be much better to share the education capacities instead of creating new faculties, new institutes at every university. So what your federation is at to, I would say it is ideal. Now, what is another example of interinstitutional cooperation is opening university to the environment, to the surroundings, and you said about that also. So cooperating with the city, with NGOs around, with some regional organization is something what we try, what we name in our program GATES, and well, it slowly takes impetus also. But for me, most important are the aspects which Ulrike mentioned is international cooperation. And one aspect which I strongly want to point out here is our university networks, and especially European university initiatives, Una Europa, in which we are, well, one of the universities engaged. So synergy between these two programs is something which is absolutely crucial for development of the strategy of our university. Common activities within Excellence Initiative and European University is something which enhances both well, our partners abroad and our partners here in Poland as well. So we try to share those experiences also. So for me, creating common research strategy with our external university, well, international partners, these 8 partners of Una Europa, creating common educational also programs. not only activities, but whole programs, and integrating students in one virtual institution is very important, but also creating common administrative platforms. And that is progressing, I would say, very good for those actions within European University. Excellence Initiative is really an extremely important help, and I always present to my international colleagues this as an advantage which we have, even in comparison to them. So with that, I will finish for a moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stanislav. And actually, the first point you made gives me the first question in a way, because I think if you look to all the reports and also listen to you three, there is a difference between scientific collaboration and institutional collaboration. And today we are asked to talk about institutional collaborations. Now, you said that collaboration or cooperation can only be between people and not between institutions. So I would like to ask you, and you all have experience, that's what is very good at this panel, that you all experienced networkers, and also that at least in both of the Gdansk universities, I have the feeling that there's a spirit for federation, and at least that's what you what came through when you were talking. And so I wonder whether you could all three comment on the point scientific cooperation versus institutional. Where are advantages, disadvantages? What is more important for you, or are they both very important? And particular for Stanislav, do you really think there is not such a thing like institutional collaboration, and does it have a value? So that's up for you now.
Thank you. Of course, I am aware that there is institutional cooperation. However, the institution cooperates through their representatives, and so of course there is close the institutional approval and help, support, and sometimes always also initiative of cooperating with one another or each other is extremely important. But as it was also mentioned in previous panels, the personal contacts are, that is essential part of all those cooperations or collaborations. All research, I can imagine that there is a research group experiencing very well international cooperation with several other groups and not being even aware that the institution supports it, and it would be very good. However, I cannot imagine that the institution enforces some cooperation, because it will never work. I am strongly afraid. That is something which we, within this program, with a strategic program, we are trying just to to induce creativity of people to propose how they can best cooperate with partners inside Krakow, in Poland, abroad, across oceans, in whatever configurations they can imagine. And as facilitators, we then try to adopt whatever rules are in our hands to help them, and if the rules are outside our hands, to influence that they are changed and that they are more giving more space for efficient cooperation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm sure that's right, that you cannot top-down force something which the university doesn't want. But and I think, or I hope that Gdansk is a good example, is that representatives of universities are also people. And the better those people work together, the better the collaboration is. And my experience definitely is that it not only depends on all the bottom-up power and the research, but it also depends on the rectors or the leadership persons, how well they go together. And my experience, for example, in the U4, which is a European group of universities, it's the better those rectors work together. But now the Gdansk universities, scientific collaboration versus institutional. What is your experience? Is it both important? What is the value of each of them?
Tomek first, I was previously
okay, no
first
problem.
one.
From my point of view, two things are important, and can be considered as synergy, both approaches, both top-down and bottom-up. Of course, individual contacts are important and create surrounding to make effective research from the bottom, from individual researchers. However, it can be also utilized by authorities of university and develop from as a higher umbrella, let's say. One example, maybe three examples. First example is International Advisory Board, which we planned in our application. And this advisory board will be completed by scientists from the world, which we know. Yes, so bottom-up contacts will enable to create the body, the unit, which will enable to facilitate, to improve our control, consulting, and what's going on within the program. Another example is the involvement and the recruitment and the employment of visiting professors from abroad. We have good experience with visiting professors who first made good contacts with individual scientists, but now they are the contact persons for the whole universities, and with these universities we make more formal contacts, and those more formal contacts are already top-down actions which go down for more scientists just in laboratories, in labs. Or another example, the third and last, international research agendas. In University of Gdańsk there are two of them. In our university we have one of them, and those agendas funded by Foundation of Polish Scientists are kind of scientific excellence islands in our universities, and know-how of the excellence radiates for the rest of university and radiates in for different areas, I can say. One of our recent example, which is very positive from my point of view, is the change of regulation for the first PhD school in our university, the change which enabled to engage in easier way PhD students from abroad. It was necessary for international research agenda. It was introduced. This was important for agenda. It was introduced for the general regulation, and it works for the whole university now. And it's important also from the point of view of this program, of Excellence Initiative Program. Thank you.
Yes, they go nicely together, it seems like, in your university. But what about Christoph?
I mean, the discussion about scientific or institutional I would like to comment on it in the context of results that we obtained. And for example, our joint institutional initiatives with, for example, Lvov University, it was really nice. We spent lots of time, discuss, eat dinner, and finally, after that, nothing happens. And in many other places, the situation was about the same. So some tunnel of connections and possibilities was opened, some bridges was made, but actually nothing much happened after that. And I here agree 100% with Stanisław. The people make the connection and the people find the joint research. And then when there are the results, when both sides are beneficial from this connection, then the institutional solution should come. And just commenting also on the teaching, not scientific activity, but on the teaching between the institutions. We have, for example, the program that is in civil engineering chemistry, building chemistry, and there is AGH, Science and Technology University from Krakow, there is Łódź University of Technology and Gdańsk University of Technology. But there are some problems that are really low based. There are problem of money, problem of arranging. Students supposed to move from city to city. And actually there would be need for making some kind of Erasmus plus program that would encourage people to do this kind of activity. I was personally involved in a few talks to make a joint didactic teaching programs. And always rather those simple small problems were making the difficulty in the making such solutions. So answering to your kind of a question, institutional, of course, yes, but this is the people who are making the difference and making the collaboration strong. And without collaboration, no one can be competitive, no one can survive.
Definitely. I'm very glad that you explained it a little bit that way, because I think this conference is also to learn from each other. So I think other people who have not yet done your work, it's important to hear that. And I can just confirm that when Göttingen had such a good campus, because it was grown from the bottom, other campus structures in Germany, which have been more top-down, were not quite that successful, particularly not going down into the area of teaching as well, because the Max Planck directors in Göttingen, they are teaching bachelor students as well. So, I mean, the teaching is another important point, as Stanisław already pointed out. So I'm glad that your experience is there the same, and that you are already successful with bottom up and then caught in a way from top down. That I think is very important. I still would like to go a little bit into the point that follows up on that. This question is the value for the researchers from the institutional. You already mentioned part of that, but maybe you can stress that a little bit. And also what is important, the next step after you found or you thought about and you were ready to form a federation, there is the administrative hurdle. And you said now it's in the hands of the ministry to kind of give the final decision for your federation or for your alliance, the Fahrenheit Alliance. So how do you see that administrative side? So on one side, the researchers, obviously they are convinced in your universities, but maybe you can confirm that. And on the other side, the administration, and what were the problems or are the problems in terms of a formal collaboration or federation?
Is this question to me or maybe to some other person?
To all of you. To all of you.
So who should start?
Go ahead.
Krzysztof.
Yeah,
Stanisław.
sure.
No, Krzysztof.
Well, you have federation. We have vague plans about
Okay,
that.
then I will start. In such fusions, I had already chance to make two merging of the faculties since I was a dean, and now as a rector, I also make a merger of two faculties into one. So the most important thing is to engage people. And to engage people is start solving problem with the very bottom and very low level problems. And just to being optimistic, I would like to say that for the second time this year, we made join Gdańsk University, Medical University of Gdańsk and Gdańsk University of Technology, join application for the price of the electricity. And since we started together, our bid was very well developed and very well received. And actually, year to year, we got about 8 to 10% reduction on our prices of the electricity. So answering the question, if there are such incentives, then suddenly this is very easy to make certain decisions. And decisions actually are personal. So there's always people who want to be on the top, and you have to find them the right places, and you have to make the kind of the political distribution of power so that everyone can be happy and everyone can find the right place. So talking about administration, I think that this is not the problem, this is just the way how to plan it, how to process the things. And then again, please remember that federation, this is not the merger, this is not the fusion. This is the kind of independent universities that join their activities, synchronize their activities in certain fields.
Can I ask immediately a question to you now, personally? Yes, certainly administration is something which, is a challenge, but for the infrastructure, using infrastructure together, we heard that in a couple of comments before today, but at least in Germany, and so I wonder how it is in Poland, it's not quite as easy if like the Academy or Max Planck Institute is using the same facilities, the same infrastructure, big apparatus, for example. Is that easy for you to share and to use the same equipment, even though you are not a merger but a federation? In Germany, there are tax problems, for example.
This conference already takes a few hours, so we'll try to entertain you. You know, in Poland, in Gdańsk University of Technology, probably in other universities is different. When the professor or the scientist gets his machine, his equipment, this is his machine. Sure. So he controls the machine and tells who will use it, when and how. And what we are trying to do now is to make this direction of the core facilities. So to select certain most important apparatus, facilities to the thematic join direction, and then try to make it a little bit business-oriented, so regulate how it is used, and then again add money from the central part, from the rector, to organize it also, so we make the number of technicians, make it more business-oriented. And this process will take time. I have to be honest, it will not be able to do it very quickly, but I am an optimistic rector, and I do think that within a few years we will make the core lab, semi-core lab facilities, and then the exchange of the usage of these facilities and then allowing some people use this facility will be much easier. There is one more good thing between the three universities in Gdańsk, and our research do not overlap. We are basically acting in the different regions of science and teaching, and therefore making kind of smooth way to use our scientific infrastructure, I believe, will be kind of easier.
Okay, but they are complementary, the expertise.
As I can add, I'm also optimistic about the idea to share the structures and infrastructures, because in our application we also underlined the role of core facilities, and we designed some of them. So the procedures to operate with them are developed, and thanks to another idea, action with Union of Universities, probably we will have the platform to exchange our know-hows, how to operate it together. And third thing is that when we have already good experience with exchange of our just research experiences on people level, thanks to, for example, mentioned by Krzysztof, conference organized in February on Sobieszewo Island, isolated, not because of pandemic, but because of no access to cell phones. And during 2 days, we were able to exchange each by each priority research areas and a lot of projects which are now the basis for cooperation. So again, two things. First, from top down, and second, bottom up.
How about you, Stanislav? Can you comment that?
Yeah. Well, so first, I am also very optimistic about the development of that kind of cooperation which will develop from large facilities to medium-sized facilities. I can tell that with large facilities, I think we have no much problems. We own at the university, well, the only one synchrotron radiation source in Poland, and there is synchrotron radiation community, which has access to the device. Of course, there are rules. Well, there are always problems with financing, but that with the help of ministry was solved, and also internationally it is used. So I think this develops. Here we have also access to certain well, facilities at AGH University, at the Institute of Nuclear Physics. There is close collaboration with our medical faculties and the cyclotron in the Institute of Nuclear Physics used for medical purposes also. So I think it develops. Now I think that it should go to the lower level with not so large facilities, as you mentioned, Christoph. That is where we have some specific laboratories, and they should not be owned privately by professors or nor by groups, but it should be shared in a well reasonable manner. And it is, I think, now we have also some experiences, and we go in that direction. If I may add another comment, I think, well, supplementing with what was said before about this institution and personal cooperation for researchers, I think there are, well, top-down initiatives. Well, European universities was purely top-down, even from Europe to not only by our rectors, but when it is well prepared by the management and authorities, and when then people are integrated, then it becomes well, it becomes common and well, belongs to community, and there are then facilitated bottom-up initiatives. The same is essentially with our Excellence Initiative. It is initiated by ministry, so also top-down, but we created mechanism which encourage people to come with their own ideas, and they are well implemented. So I think we are however, let me not be so sweet anymore. So if you have the federation, almost federation in Gdańsk, we in Krakow were talking about this triple federation with University of Science and Technology and Institute of Nuclear Physics. First steps were taken really top-down, talking between rectors and directors. And then in different communities, it found different, say, applause. At some points it were way taken, in another it needs still, well, better work of the management to show the, well, good sides and well, to present incentives and present how it will work for the benefit of us all. And I am sure that at some point we will at least come back to the talking within the universities and institutions, and then come to some common conclusion, which will be, I would think that, well, we have not yet. Well, we were talking also about the name and patron of our federation, but I will better not mention it now, since it will only have to happen in the future, and it is now in the hands of new managements of the institution. So let us wait for the next year conference. Maybe I will have some other things to tell. If I am still,
yes, sure.
If I am still in place after what I am saying here. So.
And then we all hope that we then can meet all in a city and not by video. But let me ask the final question before we open it up to the panel. It was mentioned by one of you that the collaboration of the companies is important as well. For entrepreneurship, it was mentioned. So is that something where the federation can be stronger as well in being a partner for industry or for companies? That's one question. And the other one is, I'm sure you all have included in this federation concept, not only the PhDs, but also the postdocs. So my question is for postdocs and for new young professors or researchers. Do you use something like dual career options, which can be very good if you have partners, because then you have partners where you can get dual career possibilities, or is that not at all a topic when you recruit new people? And it's for all three of you.
Who starts?
Who starts? Tomek, you are now the leader.
Generally speaking, all kinds of partnerships are the worth. So in our regulations, we try to develop such inscriptions that domestic, international, entrepreneurship cooperation can provide additional benefits. So hence our ideas for calls, project calls in Excellence Initiative is dominated by different kinds of cooperation. Coming back to entrepreneurship, so yes, it's important idea. It's important idea generally in Poland for years, however, very difficult to implement. And we included two free actions in our plans to strengthen innovations. And as I said, we have first good examples of cooperation on this area, in the area of innovations, thanks to the activity of our dedicated transfer technology centers and our dedicated companies in our free universities. It's what happened in last 5-6 years, and I see and I trust it will develop, not only thanks to governmental support, but also thanks to internal movement of people, what is always the most crucial thing. Krzysztof or Stanisław.
You first.
So, well, at the university like ours, it's classical universities. Of course, I am always saying that the fundamental research will be of main interest. However, of course, whenever there is a good idea how to come closer to higher technological readiness levels, that's always welcome. We, of course, have the Technology Transfer Center, which helps researcher really come to that higher readiness level and facilitate contacts with the interested business. I think that the best would be here, that when here sits representatives of AGH University, which is certainly the leader in Poland in contacts with industry. So why I also try to think about federation to facilitate more contacts through the channels. Now, what I also want to stress, recently we had the change in our biotechnology excellence center. And we, as a director, we have chosen or selected the researcher from Great Britain coming with an extremely long experience in exactly contacts with pharmacy biotechnology companies. And that is also a way in which we facilitate some further contacts. Now, about the double degrees, it's, fairly speaking, it's very rare at my university, and we should work on that. But in principle, the paths are open. Now, how it will develop, I hope that it will develop, but frankly speaking, at the moment, it is virtually close to zero, that path. It is not really populated without very few examples exactly in this, let's say, biotechnology sector.
Stanislav, I didn't mean
Now
degree, but dual.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I didn't mean double degree, but dual career. Let me explain that. You know, if you want to recruit scientists, Polish scientists back to Poland or international scientists, very often there's a problem that they bring a partner, also a scientist, either female or male, whatever the couples are. And then it's for at least in a couple of European countries, it's a real problem to find a job for this person you want to recruit. And if you have a good partnership or a federation with 3 universities, the chance to get a job for the second scientist or researcher is much bigger. That's what I meant, not a double degree. But maybe now Christoph can finalize that round and also comment the dual career.
Okay, the first question was related to technology transfer and federalization, or having the stronger ties between 2 institutions. And again, I will give an example. We have a really strong informatics team, and they are really good in imaging. But it was the people from the Medical University of Gdańsk who opened the possibility for bioimaging. And actually, right now, we are finalizing the PhD program with the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign that will allow to make a double degree for the students, so they will get a PhD both from University of Illinois and Gdańsk University of Technology. Without their help and without opening certain doors, it will not happen. So I'm truly convinced that starting together with the transfer of technology, doing something for the company. This program is directed towards the company, toward the bioimaging problem. So this makes it easier, makes us more reliable, and the business wants to come in one place and gets the answer. So we are trying to offer them one place and possibly answer to all the problems that they have. And the second question about the dual career possibilities, I have here the additional information that my friend Sławek arranged for me. So in the EDUP program, thinking about how to try to attract the best people, we assume that we would like to have them on our own, so they will be full workers for the Gdańsk University of Technology, but making the research, we thought that maybe we'll be more flexible. So maybe we allowed that people can work in both institutions, and then finally, after some times, choose for certain time how they want to work in a more flexible way. So we established about 30 different programs. I will make some joke in the end, but just having stated what they are, this is a program called Americium, long-term outgoing mission for our people, Eurypium, short-term outgoing mission for people who are coming to Gdańsk University of Technology. This is Einsteinum and Nobelium for a long time. And we have the kind of well-paid programs. Maybe this is not the top money, but still this is money more or less the same as in European universities. This is Aurum program and Platinum program for the leading for the recognized international teachers. So we assume that doing all those package of different programs will be able to both our workers sent abroad, and this is the best researchers who got their experience in the universities abroad, the top universities, but under condition that they spend there relatively long time. So 3 months exchange program is not enough. The best if they have at least 1 or 2 year exchange program, so they get to learn how the doing science, doing research in the good university works. And making kind of a humoristic, a little bit joking, I asked in the community of Gdańsk University of Technology how to call those 30, supposed to be a little bit more programs, and should be a type of a name that will have the acronym for this program. So as I read those names, the first one, the idea was to call it, since we are Gdańsk University near the sea, so we will use the names of the winds. So there will be, tornado and so on. But then again, having such names for the programs for scientists was considered not so much appropriate. So finally, the idea of calling all the programs by the names of elements from the Mendeleev table, so the elements in Latin. And then the most precious metals, they are for the scientific problems, and all the other are grouped in certain logic, yes? So I'd like to challenge 20 rectors from the other universities in the EDUP program. Please find nice logic for calling the acronyms of 30 or 32 programs in the EDUP. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is a new competition you are raising here, fine. But I'm impressed, and I think when we started out with the panel, we would not have thought that federation or collaboration is so well already done as you described it here. So it was very interesting and very good to see. And before we open now to the panel, I just want to explain again what dual career is, because obviously that is a word you don't know. It's not that you have possibilities on 2 universities, but traditionally it's like you call or you recruit a professor, and he brings a wife which is also a professor or also a scientist, and he would only come to Krakow or to Gdansk if he gets a position for his wife, or vice versa. Most of the female professors would not come if not the academic husband gets a job as well. And that's what I meant. And the programs to have that are very important to recruit international scientists. That's different from what you have understood. But that's fine. I hope you are doing that anyway. And now I have to ask the host to see whether there are questions for you in the hall, in the auditorium.
Yes, so thank you for that. And I will take a look at our audience. And we do actually have the first question, which is very appreciated.
So I wanted to ask about synergies with this European universities initiatives. How does your programs include those, and at least in Krakow, but maybe also in Gdańsk? Do you really have, this was done at the same time basically for most of our universities to join those proposals, those new partnerships, and create those EDUP programs. So how do you manage to get this good synergy and kind of actions you take?
So I can start, in principle. Well, I think if I want really to answer it, I will take time up to dinner, perhaps even tomorrow, because it's really a lot of things to tell. But let me just briefly summarize. First of all, we have in our, let's say, excellence program, we have 7 these priority research areas. In our European University, Una Europa, we have now 5 focus areas. 3 are completely in agreement. In the other 2 from Una Europa, they sit somewhere in between, but still can be fit. So we have actions and activities which we can simultaneously do in our university, enhanced by collaboration with our external partners, and in other way around, we fulfill the requirements of the European Commission about what we want to achieve within European University by enhancing that with also substantial financial support from Excellence Initiative, because as it was said, 10% in our case is quite a lot of money. So the other thing is we have common ideas which were supplemented in our Excellence Initiative program and European University for the further development of the institution, like Future University Lab, which, well, my colleague would be better to explain, but it's how the university of the future should look like. Both, it is well, common question for Poland, for Spain, Italy, and Netherlands. Now, that is well, far-reaching questions, but that should be well, we should look for some directions already now. When we talk about education, so again, this common education and teaching programs which we try to implement in the in the Una Europa program can be basis for our change in our institution to, frankly speaking, well, to introduce more English language to teaching and to studies in general. So just a brief answer to that.
Does that answer your question? Thank you very much. And if we asked the representatives of the Pomeranian region, would you come up with a different answer?
In our case, we do not have big experience with European universities initiative yet. However, we observe it very intensively. We observe it from different contexts, I can say, not only from just regular idea which is available now by Brussels, but also from the concept which we would like to intensify our contacts with other universities in the field of medicine, generally speaking. So it's what we have experienced now in this area, shortly speaking.
So were you trying to say that you are just observing the situation and not yet coming deeper into it?
No, it's under construction.
So tell me about the construction. Is it like some talks or is it some meetings?
Yes, and meetings, talks, and analysis of the opportunities which could be considered as the best at the current situation for us.
Okay.
One more sentence, maybe two sentences, because I omitted one very important, I think, aspect to answering your question. The other thing is, well, in the excellence program, we should think about this also the management governance change. It was discussed during the first panels. And, well, learning from how it is done at our partners and trying to, well, make some procedures common for 8 universities across Europe also is inducing the, well, changes in the governance structure. So I think it's also an important point.
Dr. Karaska, I wonder if you'd like to comment on it, because it seems as though your ideas about what just been said would be very precious to the debate.
Well, in Torun, we also are a part of one of those European universities, but the problem is that the scope, these priority research areas are not quite the same. So that's why I was wondering how this overlapped in your case. And I think we can learn a lot from you. That's why I'm asking all of us, because we really need to think about this European context as well. And you know, this panel discussion, I think, was the right place to talk not just about domestic, but also this European context. I think, you know, all these programs are now meant for, I think, 3 years to develop some better ideas how this could work, these European universities. But yeah, something to do over the next few years for all of us, I think.
So do you feel like in Torun you're also just starting that?
Yeah, we are also this full partner in one of the big collaborations, also with companies. But it seems like, you know, most of the activities are starting just now. So we will see what is the long-term impact and, you know, how this will really influence also other activities, you know, the excellence initiative as a whole. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And we have another question. Thank you.
I have the comment
Okay.
to the European University, because you have to know that the European University project is mainly on teaching. It is not a research program.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why this is both programs are really complementary. On the one hand, we are the member of the For You Plus Alliance. This is also the European University, which has been selected in the first period, first call by the European Commission. But still, we can finance from this program only cooperation in teaching, maybe the third mission, but not the real research. That's why this is, if we have also, if we benefit also from the excellent initiative, and you can finance the research cooperation, it allows us also to do strengthen cooperation with such universities, because we have the two legs, teaching and research.
And you say they're complementary.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm taking a look around the hall, and I wonder if there's any more question. Somebody was raising their hand, but that was just a gesture and not participating. We do not have any online questions so far. And so that means that we would be back to Professor Beisigel, and I guess quite soon it might be actually the time to wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me come back for a moment to the international collaborations, because they were a little low in our discussion. So particular, Christoph wanted to comment on his international cooperations, and maybe he can use that, and also how the postdocs in particular will profit from it if Corona is over.
Once again, maybe I didn't understand your question. How the postdoc benefit from what?
No, you said that you are coming back to your international cooperations.
Oh yes.
When you were talking first, and then in all your papers from your three universities, but also other universities, actually the postdocs were not really mentioned. You always talked about early career scientists, and you talked about young professors and PhD students, but the group of postdocs were not particularly addressed. And I think that talking about international collaboration, they might play an important role.
Yes, that's correct. In our application for EDU program, there was almost nothing about postdoc. But as was stated here, once we wrote our programs, the information and make the calls, the young people, especially young professors already with PhD and habilitation, came and said that this is not right, that all the focus and most of the money that we got in this program is allocated for the PhD students. And actually, based on their opinion, we are now opening one program which will be directed towards the postdoc. The main argument was that if you take the PhD student, you have to spend time to teach him how to do the research, learn him the tools, learn him how to use the infrastructure. And once, when you get a good postdoc, then this going into the research with results, it's much easier. So we are now in our program opening actually two new calls for the new programs. One is for taking the postdoc applications from any part of the world, and the other one, again, also from kind of the younger people suggestion. It will be directed for the young Polish people who graduated from the university, got their PhD from the university, and are willing to come back to Poland. Normally, they will go into the standard employment position. And since we want to attract them, we will thinking in this program about additional funds for their career in Gdańsk University of Technology, also including money for some infrastructure and for some equipment.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe also to the others again, the profit of the international cooperation, not only the European university. Are there any activities outside of Europe? Have there been or are there planned? And I mean institutional, not normal scientific. The scientific corporations, I'm sure that there are many, and you don't know all of them, I guess, but institutional, do you have any international collaboration?
Is this question to
All of you.
Stanisław or to Tomasz?
So to all of you.
Well, okay, whose microphone is on? Okay, well, I can, maybe you would not very much like it about outside Europe. We have certainly, still we have Confucius Institute, which is now in well, something delicate subject to talk about, but what within our, also I must return to our network, other networks, not only on Europa, but also the Guild, which we were together in. We have plans, or rather not also plans, but actions to reach out to the African universities to, well, somehow find out the best ways to cooperate with them, and also to foster that cooperation. Well, I don't. What is mine within, also within, started within the Guild network together with Ljubljana. We have now started some special cooperation with the Balkan universities, with the Forum of Balkan Universities, also kind of extended institutional research programs to enhance the research done in this, well, still European, but maybe outside European Union countries. So that's maybe let me finish with that.
Yeah, and the other universities?
In our case, the gold standards for us are 3 universities in Europe, of course, chosen and the most cooperative for us from different points of view. However, if I think about the subject, what could be the most relative to excellence initiative outside Europe, I recollect 2 US places, Mayo Clinics and another university in Florida, and with those universities, I think we can expect the most relevant projects which could be developed within the project, from one side within research and clinics, and from other research and innovation. So there are such examples. Of course, I do not count other cooperations which are between individual scientists. Those 2 examples, those 2 universities places are operated institutionally already 1-2 years, and I see the most closest relationships together with Excellence Initiative.
Thank you. And Christoph?
My turn. Actually, in our application, we wrote where is the main direction where we see the possibility to gain PhD students, and the countries that were targeted was the east of Europe and south of Europe, but southeast. So actually this is Iran, I don't know how you call it in English. Also, I talked already about our joint initiation institutional cooperation with Ukraine. And also now we have a meeting tomorrow, no, the day after tomorrow, with our authorities, local authorities, about the program for Belarus. And hopefully also in this direction we might promote Gdansk and get some good PhD students. So this is kind of the direction. And of course there is ongoing institutional cooperation that we already have. I will not list it, there is no point of it.
Krzysztof reminded me that our recent foreign PhD students are also from outside Europe. One is from Iran and one is from China. Just now coming to Gdańsk 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But not directly from China, but from Germany.
Okay, that's good. So I think that you're all on a very good way, and I mean, in particular, the Gdansk Federation or Alliance, Fahrenheit, is a very good example, and I hope that there will be more like that from universities in Poland, because I think that is very helpful, and particular for the strategy for excellence universities, which are visible internationally. This kind of federation, as you described it today, or European universities like Stanislav described, are very important. So I'm very happy. I thank you very much for that discussion. And I don't know whether there is any other questions, but from the audience. But I thank you very much. It was much more than I expected, and I really got your spirit of collaboration, and that is very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Great work, and we really enjoyed the conversation too. First, I'd like to thank our panelists on your behalf. And so these were Professor Krzysztof Wilde, Professor Stanisław Kistryn, and Professor Tomasz Bączek. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure and our pleasure. And I would like to kindly ask everybody to give a big round of applause to Professor Ulrike Beisigel, because she's done a tremendous job.
Not that easy.
Thank you, Ulrike, and I hope you have a great day. And we really will be thrilled if you continue to follow the whole conference. I really appreciate the fact that you've been so aware of what's been mentioned during the earlier parts of the conference. So we really thank you for that.
Yeah, be sure I'm with you for the whole conference. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And speaking of being a multidisciplinary person, Professor Ulrike Beisigel is a biochemist. And between 2012 and 2018, she used to be the vice president for the German Rectors Conference. Thank you very much. Thank you, panelists. And I am happy to tell you that we will be back here at 4:45, so that's 16:45, which means that you have about 20 minutes of free time, which I hope you can enjoy.